Welcome to It's Not God's Fault. I'm Yoli. In the last series, I talked about red flags and green flags, what to look for and what to avoid, what healthy actually looks like. But knowing the difference is not what kept me stuck, because I saw the things, but I just didn't trust myself enough to respond to them. And that's what this next series is going to be about. Not what I saw, but what I believed. The things I was taught that made me stay quiet, stay confused, and stay longer than I should have. One time I wrote my ex-husband a poem. I was really proud of it. I meant every word that I said. I talked about how I loved him and how grateful I was and how I was honored to be his wife. And so I walked into his office to hand it to him. And when I did, I was hoping that I would receive some kind of warmth or some kind of affection or connection at the very least. But instead, he looked at it and he said nothing. Then, after he read it, he told me it was fake and that I didn't mean any of it. And in that moment, I did not get angry. I didn't even walk out. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know I could say, "That's not okay." Instead, I sat there trying to figure out what I had done wrong, trying to understand how I needed to change because I believed that I was the one that was wrong. He had convinced me that I was the problem. The next day, everything was back to normal, or at least normal for him. He acted like nothing had ever happened, but I was so hurt. I was still trying to process it, and I wanted to talk it out, but I was the problem, and to him it was in the past and I was just supposed to move forward. That's where the lie took hold, not in the moment when he hurt me, but in what came afterwards. I had been conditioned that bringing things back up meant that I was not forgiving, that needing to talk about it meant that I was bitter, and that remembering it meant that I lacked faith. So I stopped bringing things up. I stopped asking questions. I stopped trusting my own memory of what had just happened, and I started searching myself instead. What did I do? Where did I go wrong? How can I be better? I thought that was humility, but it wasn't. It was conditioning. Because what was actually happening was that my reality was being erased, not all at once, but slowly. Every time something happened, and I was told to move on without it being acknowledged, a piece of my voice disappeared. A piece of my clarity disappeared, and a piece of trust in myself disappeared too. And the most dangerous part of this is that it sounded spiritual. It sounded right, and it sounded like obedience, but it wasn't. It was silence. It was suppression. It was learning to live in something that was never resolved while pretending that it was. Here is what I know now, that moving forward is not the same as pretending it didn't happen, and forgiveness is not the same as silence. Healing does not happen where truth is not allowed to be spoken. You are allowed to remember what hurt you. You are allowed to name it. You're allowed to need understanding and repair and even an apology. If those things are not available, you're still allowed to tell yourself the truth about what happened. If this is something that you're starting to see in your own life, this is exactly the kind of work we do at The Right to Sanity. We don't rush past your story. We don't silence what you experienced. We help you put language to it, to process it, and to rebuild trust in your own voice again. I'll leave the details in the notes if you want to join me there. And if you're walking through this series and thinking that it sounds familiar, like this feels like your story, my book, Not What God Promised, is coming. And it goes deeper into all of this, not just what happened, but how I untangled what I believed from what was actually true. You're not crazy for remembering. You're not wrong for needing to talk about it. And you are not weak for feeling what you still feel. You were taught to move on before anything was ever made right. I'll see you in the next episode.